From last year straight into this year, the games industry has been getting hit with round-the-clock layoffs, downsizing, and restructuring. Nobody's been safe. Even the bigger boys, Microsoft and Sony, have made heavy layoffs. And you may have heard not too long ago that with all this restructuring, Microsoft and Activision made the decision to let go of the developer Toys for Bob. Hello everyone, I am Waifu Belector, the only fair human on Earth, and yes, Toys for Bob, the team responsible for the revival of the Crash Bandicoot franchise with the Insane trilogy as well as doing the Spyro Reignited trilogy, that team has been let go from Microsoft and Activision. They also did Crash 4 and Crash Team Rumble, but in more recent times, Toys for Bob unfortunately had been relegated to a simple support studio for the real Activision cash cow, Call of Duty. However, now Toys for Bob and Microsoft have come to an agreement that has allowed for the developer to buy themselves out and become an independent studio. And so I just want to talk about where they may go from here. Because I know everybody is like, yay, they're free, they can do whatever they want now, everything's amazing. But that's not exactly true. Cool, you don't have to run every idea up the ladder to Activision and then Microsoft, but also that backing, that budget, that marketing is also not guaranteed anymore. Not to mention losing access to the IP you are most closely related to, Crash Bandicoot. Because yes, Toys for Bob is free, but Activision still retains the rights to the Crash IP, leaving Toys for Bob to very likely have to cook up a brand new IP of their own, which is not a problem for me. I actually prefer it, but the fact is, selling people on a new IP in entertainment is hard. Also, despite Toys for Bob very obviously being talented developers, there's no guarantee that in 2024 they can make something with presentation attractive enough to garner an audience that makes the effort worth it. Then there's also the question of what do you make? Do you make a platformer because that's what people know you for? Maybe, but then they also have to consider that platformers aren't an especially popular genre these days. And seeing as how they're independent now, they've got a lot more to lose by flopping. Now, I will get back to this topic of them possibly using a new IP or what they can do without Crash, but first let's talk about the possibility that they keep doing Crash. Because according to Toys for Bob, although they are now independent, their relationships with both Microsoft and Activision have not soured. In fact, Toys for Bob is currently exploring the possibility of a partnership with Microsoft. I know that sounds weird. You get free of them and then you want to be partners. What the hell? The thing is though, Toys for Bob's departure seems to not have been the result of butting heads, but more so simply what was best for all parties involved. Microsoft was probably like, look dude, we can't afford to keep you guys running as you are for much longer, but we still want you guys as collaborators. And through a problem-solving analysis, Microsoft and Toys for Bob probably realized that Toys for Bob could self-sustain if it was detached from Microsoft. So why partner up after? Well, maybe because now that Toys for Bob is indie, Microsoft doesn't pay those employees anymore, so they freed up money. And because we still want you guys as collaborators, what this partnership will likely be is baked in contracts for things like publishing and marketing. So Toys for Bob is independent, but with a nice boost from a bigger partner, and Microsoft has chopped the cost of a whole team from their payroll while still having that team on their side. It's a win-win. And I can see a world where this partnership also means Microsoft might lend out the Crash IP to Toys for Bob, whom they know will handle it with care in a possible Crash 5. That's not a complete impossibility to me. But although it's not completely impossible, I think the smart money is still on a new IP. And even with help from a very big partner like Microsoft, getting people in on a brand new IP isn't easy, especially if they do end up going the platformer route, which I don't recommend. While I myself love platformers, most people don't currently give too much of a shit. Although if you're really hell-bent on doing a platforming game, at the very least, you could turn it into an action platformer by adding worthwhile combat. Because true blue pure platforming ain't what it used to be in terms of mass appeal. Unfortunately, it's pretty much Mario, and Mario alone still pulling that off. So yeah, some actually well thought out fun combat thrown into a platformer would help a lot. What would help even more though is just picking a different genre. And nothing multiplayer, of course. Everyone hates that. It's a terrible time to be making a multiplayer game, but I doubt they'd do that. I also don't know what their skills are like outside of making a 2D or 3D platformer. Not that they've never done it before, but nobody's ever really cared before. I'm not really sure what a non-platforming big game would look like from them. Maybe I could see like a hack and slash adventure type game coming from them. I don't even know, man. I'm very interested to see what they would do. And also, how much of the quality of games like Crash 4 are a result of publisher money, you know? Will Toys for Bob's games hit the same way when they've got to do everything themselves? I certainly hope so. And also, will they try to create another similarly furry or cutesy type of mascot like Crash or Spyro? Is that their angle? Is that what they do? Or is that just what they've been pigeonholed into for years? There are so many questions and so many possibilities of how Toys for Bob's independence can go, all varying degrees of good and bad. But there are also so many variables that make it unclear as to just how things will shake out for them. I guess it is as most of these situations are, and we, the humble gamers, will just have to wait and see. Okay though, that's really all I've got for you, just my thoughts on this situation. Feel free to like the video if you enjoyed, or even subscribe. I'm gonna get back to playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth so I can make a video about that, maybe a couple of videos about that. I'm 35 hours in and I'm still chugging along, so I just thought I'd talk about Crash real quick before getting back to it. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I am Waifu Belector. I'm just a normal guy. I like hentai, and I really hope Toys for Bob's new game is good. Goodbye.